Good afternoon and namaste to all of you. Though the session is termed as hands-on training on manuscripts, but initially before going to perform that hands-on training session, we must have a general outlook of what manuscript is. And for that I sincerely go down to the lotus feet of all the traditions of Ayurveda who run for the smooth and continuous journey of the outflow of the knowledge which started from the 1500 BC as per the documented history until today. That is the 3500 years of history. And the research outcome was documented in the form of literature somewhere in the started in 1500 BC, and initially it was oral traditions. Then gradually, considering the bulk of the subject matter and the domain of the subject matter, the learned scholars, they felt that it is to be documented in the form of document or in the form of a subject or in form of a documented matter. They started documenting as per the data concerned. It is started in 700 BC. That time there was different script. Initially it was in the form of logographic scripts, means all script was in the form of picture. Then there was logophonetics. Logos to phonetics means initially it was picture. Then after that they used some phonetics there. Then after that it becomes syllabic. Then it becomes syllabic with consonant. Then now they develop the full-fledged language. So in every era they have documented these treasure of life in the form of different manuscripts, like it is in the form of copper plate, it is in the form of inscription over the stones, somewhere it is documented in the Talapatra, somewhere it is in the Talapatra, somewhere it is in the Bhojapatra, or later on it was documented in the over the handmade paper, thick handmade paper, then thin handmade paper. After that it was printed in the late 18th century, late 19th century. Then it was formed in the form of book. So whatever book we have now studying for last 100 years, that was the outcome of the synthesizing of the manuscripts. The learned scholar like Yadavji Trikamji Acharya and other scholar like Narendranath Sen, who has gathered all the available manuscript of Charak Samhita, you will see in the edition of the first edition of Charak Samhita printed in 1923 by Acharya Yadavji Trikamji. He has mentioned that more than 21 manuscripts he has consulted, collected from different parts of India, and mostly of Bengali and Devanagari script they have collected and gathered. After that they collated, they have make a comparative collation study. After that they had published this, and in the age of 27 he published that book. You can assume how Himalayan tasks he did, and he established one Nirnay Sagar press with his own pocket money, own money earned from his own business in the form of clinical practice. He earned all these things. Then he published this book for you. So you people, whomsoever is studying the Ayurveda, that is the outcome of the synthesizing of the manuscripts. So considering the matter that all the manuscripts, though nowadays it is not a important topic for consultation, important topic to deal with, but it is assumed as more than 60% of the total works of Ayurveda is still not in the form of book, it is still in the form of manuscripts. So whatever the social potency, social upliftment, what we are enjoying and what we are experiencing, that is on the basis of 40% of the available Ayurveda books. And if we explore, if we can explore all these 100% of the books, then we will reach to a peak of our classical and social stature. So, considering all the things, it is a need to study the Ayurveda manuscripts for exploration of the science. As in the definition of history, it says that the history is a scientific study of the past on the basis of present knowledge, and we study those history for future exploration. So history itself is a scientific study which exists for three different eras. It is the study of the past on the basis of present knowledge for the future exploration. So it incorporates all the three segments of the time. So now, what is manuscriptology actually? So manuscriptology is the study of scientific exploration. Then it deals with the manuscripts, its identifications, cultivation, cataloging, preservation and critical edition up to the publications. So it consists of wide range of subject matter and wide range of expertise is needed for making the manuscripts right from the collections to the publications. See why it is needed for study in this platform or in the current era. It is estimated that more than 140,000 Ayurveda manuscripts are identified by National Manuscript Mission. There is a mission by the Ministry of Culture. Its only vision is to collect, cultivate, and collect and catalog all the manuscripts and preserve them for the next generations. So they have estimated that 140,000 Ayurveda manuscripts are there. This is identified number, and it is estimated that more than 10 lakhs manuscripts are there which is still not identified. And 25,000 titles are still unexplored. Among the 140,000, 25,000 titles are still not explored. In the cataloging site, you will see that is written as manuscript for Ayurveda. But if we study that manuscript, then we will only be able to nomenclature that whether it is a manuscript of Dharvaguna, it is a manuscript of Rasasastra, like that. So it is not mentioned yet. Then about 40% of mainstream Ayurveda literature are yet to come into the limelight. Like Nighuntus, each and every text has codified in a one language that is called Samhita. And for exploring all the Samhitas, it's required a technical document which is called Nighuntu. And Nighuntu is the technical details of the Samhita. Like in Vedic Nighuntu, all the technical details are documented in the Nighuntu text. Similarly, it is documented that in Ayurveda science also there are Nighuntus, when there were existed Nighuntu, and which Nighuntus are not available up to the Ashtanga Hridaya. Means later on, for Bhavprakas Nighuntu is there, but in the beginning there was maybe a Charak Nighuntu of Charak Samhita and Sushrut Nighuntu. Acharya P.B. Sharma sir mentioned in 2001 in an article that there is a manuscript called Sushruta Nighuntu, which is available in Nepal according to him. But now Patanjali Yogapith has published one book which is called Sushruta Nighuntu. And maybe that will detail the clinical nuances of Sushruta Samhita. So that is the Nighuntu text. So 40% texts are still unexplored. One is Nighuntu text, another is Ashtanga, text on Ashtanga. We know that Ayurveda clinical practice is dealt in the 8 different branches. which is called Ashtanga, Kaya, Bala, Graha, Urdanga, Sarladamsta, Jara, Abhishek. But mostly the Kaya Chikitsa text and to some extent some Salaka text are available, but it is believed that they were text of on all the Ashtanga subject. Somewhere it is available in the form of manuscript, but it is still unexplored. Then next point is about 50% of allied and contemporary Ayurveda manuscripts are unexplored. For developing, it is a very, very deep matter. So I request all of you to concentrate on this. So each and every science developed with the help of different allied sciences. Like in modern science, there are some biophysics and biochemistry. They used to give some potential inputs and benefits for development and understanding of the science. Similarly, for developing Ayurveda, there is Darshana, there is other contemporary like Dharma Shastra texts were there, which equally contribute to understand the clinical nuances and practices which were dealt in the Ayurveda text. So these 50% of the allied contemporary text like Janama Marana Vichar and Karma Vipak. Some example of the text are there. Nyaya Prayoga Samuchay. See, if we discuss on Karma Vipak, we know we have 3 different sources of diseases in Samhita. It called one is called Doshaja Roga, another is called Karmaja Roga, another is called Dosha Karmaja. Jatha Nidana Doshatta Karmaja Hetur Vir Vina. So there is a disease which is called Karma Roga. So disease occur due to some specific karma of the past. And there is some texts. There are some texts like Karma Vipak. There are Satatapa Karma Vipak. There are Yoga Vashishta Karma Vipak, where detailed mentioning of the karma and its impact on later on in the later stage is mentioned. So if we take use of those karma texts like Karma Vipak and we explore, then we will understand detailed influences of that karma and how we can get rid of the diseases which occur due to the karma of the past. So this is an example of allied text, Karma Vipak. Next point is grossly 50% of super specialty Ayurveda text. These percentages are counted on the basis of NMM data only. Okay, so 50% of the super specialty text like Bandhana Malati, Agni Karma Prakash. See, in the Bandhan Karma, in Susru Samhita, Bandhan Karma, there are near about 20 to 25 verses are there. Where to do the Bandhana and what would be the nature of Bandhana in the Ritu, different Ritu. Either Sithila Bandhana or Dida Bandhana is required for Grishma Ritu or Shishi Ritu. But in Bandhan Malati, it consists of 700 verses. So if we take that text as a super specialty text, then we can explain and explore these things. So with this slide, what I want to express is there are so many research were conducted in some 700 to 800 years and which is not even explored and published for the public domain, so that if we publish these things, we can get a proper clinical and research view for conducting new eras research. That will shift the paradigm of your research if we explore all the things. So this kind of research is also needed for uplifting the research domain. These are also some examples. Like one example is Anga Upanishad, another is called Rajendra Kosh, Bal Upacharanika. I am giving an example and detailed execution of Rajendra Kosh. Rajendra Kosh deals with the plants and its uses. Here the author mentioned the pattern, and he has followed the pattern of Nigantu, and he used the plant's different parts, and he mentioned the work impact and the gunakarma of the each and every parts of the plant. Like if there is, he takes the eranda, then he mentioned the eranda patra, then eranda pushpa, then 10 parts of the eranda, along with their gunakarma of each part and indication of the each part. Then next segment he has written Suska Eranda Patra Suguna, Suska Eranda Mula Suguna, like that. Then dry Eranda Patra also he has mentioned the guna. Then he has mentioned the Samvatsaratjita Eranda Patra Suguna. So he has conducted the research deeply on the Drabhaguna. Though it is a Nigondu text, but it will explore different aspects. So these are the example by studying the manuscript, which kind of domain we can explore. Then Pancha Mahadodi, that is related to the Pancha Mahabhuta Vigyan, impact of Pancha Mahabhuta in clinical practice, and its bulk is like 3,200 bars. In Sarangadhar there are 2,600 bars, and in Madhav Nidan 1,400 bars, total Madhav Nidan. So it consists of 3,200 bars. Like Rudra Yamal Tantra, and there are Sannipatik Chikitsa Granthas. Now it is being published from different parts. In Charak Samhita, Sannipat Rog and Sannipat Jwar are mentioned into different text, different condition in Charak Sutra 17 and Chikitsa Sthan 3rd. And here from 84 number verse to 103 verse, this much verse is used for Sannipata Jwara. But here more than 300 to 700 verses are there for Sannipata Jwara. So Sannipata Kalika, Sannipata Arnava and Sannipata Padachandrika deals with the Sannipata Jwara. So if we explore the manuscript like this, we will give some proper research view to the scholar. Those research which were conducted by the previous researcher in some 700 span of 700 years. Now current activities. What are the institution or the agencies who are doing the works on manuscriptology? National Manuscript Missions is doing conservation, preservation and cataloging, and most of the conditions they are not doing actually research on Ayurveda manuscripts. They are doing for mainly preservation, conservation, cataloging, collections, everything. They are doing marvelous job. And then some institute like CCRS, National Institute of Indian Medical Heritage, Hyderabad, they are doing major works. Nowadays, major works on manuscript are being done by though this is one institute, but they are doing this. A teaching institute like NIA, Jamnagar, ITRA, and the SDM Hassan, Patanjali, Yogapit, they are also doing. And some department like DST, Human Resource Development, they are doing some research on manuscripts with the help of IIT and Department of Chemistry, like that. And some manuscript library, they are also doing some research on Ayurvedic manuscript, mostly by the Sanskrit scholars. These are the current status. So now it is a good time to do the research on Ayurveda. It is an appeal to the Ayurveda fraternity to come forward. At least there is a mission, at least one student should work on one manuscript in his lifetime so that he can repay the debt, the rina which he has taken in the course of study from the domain. So as far as the career is concerned, it will be an important career and contribution to the science and establishment for the advancement. And if we do research on manuscript, you will be master on the subject and you will be the authority of all the subjects. Okay? And confidence in the clinical practice will also be an outcome. Now, what is the need of study on Ayurveda manuscripts? In Ayurveda text, it says there is no time. There was no time in the beginning where there was no quest for longevity. There is no time where there was no Ayurveda. It says that na kadachit abhuta Ayurveda sa santanasya buddhi santanam va. In Charak Sutra 30, it mentions that Ayurveda tradition was an eternal tradition. It is going on from the very beginning to today's. But when we are studying some text like Charak Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, it seems to us that some aspect or some segment of the text is not useful as we assume. It is not. It seems like that it is practical nowadays, though it was practical that time. That means there are some kind of skillful traditional gap. There is a traditional gap, a continuation of the subject, practice gap. So if we want to fulfill those gap, we must study the manuscript so that we can find out the continuity of the research in the healthcare system. That continuity of the research was done by the then scholar throughout the period from the 1500 BC to now. But in somewhere we lost the research on that particular field and it is not been explored. That is why we are not able to find out these all kind of practices. Now we are lagging behind. So this, if we want to fulfill those gaps, it is needed. And to explore the transmission of the knowledge and the sequential research on these knowledge. There was knowledge and each and every era the knowledge was being implemented in the ground reality. And this knowledge was being translated and interpreted by different scholars, which you can say they are commentator, either they used to compose their own text also. So if we explore the manuscript, we will able to find out the transmission of knowledge and how that knowledge was sequentially transmitted from one generation to another generation. That will be helpful for us to explore the already conducted research in the various domains. Now, I am giving you one data. We have collected some 16 research which was conducted in different institutes some 10 years back. And we found among them 8 research was already documented and already conducted and documented in some 16th century, and that was being conducted and documented in the form of manuscripts. So if we explore all the manuscripts, then what will happen? We will be able to save some time in research and we will be able to give the proper dimension of the research so that there will be no repetition of the research in that particular field. To identify the incorporation of prevailing concept in research and techniques, plants, diseases within the domain of methodology and incorporation. Like in our research, there was a point that previous research done, and we used to do a survey of published research. Like we have certain books of research documentary like books published by respected Professor Bagal sir, and there are other books also. We used to collect all the data which the research was conducted in the form of thesis right from the 1950 to now, but we used to forget whether this kind of research was conducted before that, then there is no proper data. That is why we used to get stuck in somewhere, and there is a lagging to say that the research, previous research done, which we have mentioned as a point in the research topic, that is complete or justified. So to fulfill this gap, research gap, we require to study the manuscripts and to avoid the repetition of research that I have also mentioned, and to counteract to conduct further clinical trial on those research findings. So there are different research findings mentioned in our day-to-day clinical research outcome, but some research require again some conduction of the research, that is called re-repetition of the research is required and if we conduct the clinical study on the already conducted clinical research in the form of manuscript, then we will be able to explore the clinical trial and the clinical nuances of particular knowledge in proper way. For that, what we require? First one is we require to have a survey and mapping. National Manuscript Mission has did a splendid job. They used to collect the manuscript mostly from the libraries, government libraries, private libraries, and somewhere to some extent in the personal belongings. But that is not enough. Each and every person has his own contact. We Ayurveda people must communicate each other that whether there is any manuscript or not, that is to be documented. Because there are 17 different manuscript library mentioned in the National Manuscript Mission in the Jaipur district. Okay, but if we do the survey, after doing the survey, we find out there are more than 102 other sources are also there in the Jaipur district, which sources are not mentioned in the National Manuscript Mission directly. So if we want to collect all the manuscript from the and want to restore all the Ayurveda knowledge, we have to go to each and every corner of the society, and we must do a survey and mapping of the manuscripts first. Then collections from the individual sources, that is the most important. The manuscript which is collected and preserved in the any libraries, private library, may it be the government library or any archive, that is preserved for say more than 100 years. But the manuscript which is kept in the personal belongings, that are destroying day by day. So it is our duty to come forward and collect this manuscript, report those, and to restore this from the individual sources. Then preservation and cataloging and digitization of all sources is required. Then that is the next step. Then to prepare a comprehensive data bank. CCRS has done this data bank in the form of Amar portal, and they have a huge directory. The Hyderabad Institute has done that, and where you will get the research related to manuscript data, and the other data is only descriptive catalog based data. Then next phase is translation and publication, then the conduction of the further research. Now coming to the next point, the domains of research. Domains of research on Ayurveda. In which domain researchers are needed? That is, there are only few research on the Ayurveda, Ashtanga Ayurveda. There are less tests explored, like Nimi Samhita is mentioned, but only one version of Nimi Samhita is available. Videhi Samhita is also one book is available, but not that much other texts are available in Ashtanga. So that is one domain, Ashtanga Ayurveda. Then exploring the text of Samhita period. There are major texts like, there are 6 fellow learner of Agnivesha. Agnivesha, Bhelo, Jatukarna, Parasara, Harida, Ksharakwanishcha. But only Charak Samhita in full-fledged form, and some Bhel Samhita. Initially it was published from Calcutta University in 1912, only from the Department of Letters, but that is not in the full-fledged available now. And one Haritattva Samhita is available to some extent. So we require that also exploration of the Samhita period text, then study of the commentaries, that is also one domain. As mentioned, there are 40 different commentaries on Charak Samhita. Among them only 9 commentaries are available. Then exploration of Raso text, that is a big area domain of research on Ayurveda, Manuscriptology and Ayurveda, and it is less explored area of the entire Ayurvedic research. There is exploration of Raso text. A huge domain is there, but less research is going on the Ayurveda Rasa text. There's text on the Nigantu and the allied text, already I mentioned, and the super specialty text. And some recent work which were conducted in the 19th to 20th century, that is also to be explored. These are the different domains of Ayurveda research. I will give some glimpse on how the research exploration should be done on Samhita. See, each and every text has transmit from 1500 BC to today's time. So 3005 years of transmission, it has traveled different phases and it has gone through the different phases of metamorphosis. So in the northern part there are different types of Charak Samhita, in the southern part there was another form of Charak Samhita as in mentioned in different texts, that is Karnataka Patha. There is a different Karnataka recension mentioned in the Bhattar Harichandra text, and in Chakrapani also it may mention the Kashmirastu. So there was an Kashmira variation of Charak Samhita. So this is called various recension. So each and every text has its different regional versions. And to find out one international edition, we require to merge all the regional versions together and make a ultimate versions, like what was done for the Mahabharata Samshodhana Mandal, by the Mahabharata Samshodhana Mandal for doing the Mahabharata editions. Then different variants of the different parts of the world. Similarly, that Charak Samhita or Sushruta Samhita or Ashtanga Hriday were practically used in the different parts of country, and plants principles were differently used as per the ground reality, and that is why different kinds of different of reading were available in the diagnostic area, in the diagnostic aspect, and in the drug aspect also. Then Pata Shuddhi is also needed to rectify the Pata. Then critical edition of the Samhita with the multiple manuscripts. Then after that clinical trial was also to be conducted on that different editions, at different variations of the readings. Clinical trial is also to be done. I think we should go first on the theoretical aspect, then we will go for the practical demonstration. So these are some commentaries on Samhitas, and as per the data, there are 40 commentaries on Charak Samhita was available, but now only 9 are available. So it is our duty to find out the another 32. Somewhere says the Bakula was also a commentator, Rudradev also was a commentator, but the Rudradev commentaries are not available. Sushruta, there are 10 commentary mentioned, among the 3 are available. In Ashtanga Hriday, more than 30 as mentioned by Acharya B.V. Sharma ji, only 12 are available. And some comparative study of the Samhitas commentaries are to be done, like in the Chakrapani, there are different variations of Samhitas available in the different parts. So collecting all the commentator from the different parts, we must need a comparative study. Then chronological development of the thoughts. Bhattar Harichandra commentary was composed in 6th century AD, then Swami Kumar 7th century, after that Jajjata 9th century, then Chakrapani to 11th century, after that Siddhasen 15th century, then Gangadhar 19th century, then after that 20th century Yogendranath Sen and the Jyotishchandra Saraswati. They have commented on Charak Samhita. These commentaries are available. Now it is the study required that how the thought processes were changed and how the commentator has commented to implement the concept of Samhita in the clinical practice. They all were good clinical practitioners, and they used to practice, and on the basis of practice they wrote the commentary on the Samhita to make this commentary, make this science applicable for the science, for the common people. Then clinical implementation of fact given in the commentaries. Then Pata Shuddhi is also needed to rectify the Pata. Then critical edition of the Samhita with the multiple manuscripts. Then after that, clinical trial was also to be conducted on that different editions, different variations of the readings. Clinical trial is also to be done. I think we should go first on the theoretical aspect, then we will go for the practical demonstration. So these are some commentaries on Samhitas, and as per the data, there are 40 commentaries on Charak Samhita was available, but now only 9 are available. So it is our duty to find out the another 32. Somewhere says the Bakula was also a commentator, Rudradev also was a commentator, but the Rudradev commentaries are not available. Susruta, there are 10 commentary mentioned, among the 3 are available. In Ashtanga Hridaya, more than 30 as mentioned by Acharya B.V. Sharmaji, only 12 are available. And some comparative study of the Samhitas commentaries are to be done, like in the Chakrapani, there are different variations of Samhitas available in the different parts. So collecting all the commentator from the different parts, we must need a comparative study. Then chronological development of the thoughts. Bhattar Harichandra commentary was composed in 6th century AD, then Swami Kumar 7th century, after that Jejjata 9th century, then Chakrapani to 11th century, after that Siddhas Sen 15th century, then Gangadhar 19th century, then after that 20th century Yogendranath Sen and the Jyotishchandra Saraswati. They have commented on Charak Samhita. These commentaries are available. Now it is the study required that how the thought processes were changed and how the commentator has commented to implement the concept of Samhita in the clinical practice. They all were good clinical practitioners, and they used to practice, and on the basis of practice they wrote the commentary on the Samhita to make this science applicable for the science, for the common people. Then clinical implementation of fact given in the commentaries. So after Samhita, another domain is Rasa Shastra. So this is all about the outlook of Samhita, outlooks of manuscripts, ground reality of the manuscript, and the domain on which manuscript research should be done. This is survey and explorations is needed, and it is found that less than 40% texts are available on the Rasa Shastra, and most of the texts are found in different ashram or in the custody of different sannyasi. This is the survey data revealed. Then after getting the survey and collecting all the manuscripts, we require to start the deciphering process. Then decoding of advancement of pharmaceutical process. That is very, very important. Nowadays we are exploring the pharmaceutical advancement of the Rasa Shastra. But if we study the Rasa text right from the Rasa Hridaya Tantra, then up to the like Rasa Tarangini in the 20th century, we will see there are lots of development and documented instrument and other things are mentioned. Different pharmaceutical process. So decoding the advancement of pharmaceutical process mentioned in those texts, that is also very, very important. Then decoding the new methods according to the need of the society, they developed different pharmaceutical preparations and different formula to make these medical science futuristic. Suppose one day will come when there will be scarcity of herbal medicines, and for that we require to prescribe all the mineral medicines. For that they mention certain methodology to generate maximum impact with using the minimum amount of medicines. So these all the decoding of new methods they mention. Then illustration of process classically and industrially. After decoding the new methods, we must conduct a research on the illustration of those process on the basis of classical methods and on the basis of clinical practice. That is the industrial methods. We have to explore how industrial value are there of those all the things. Then documenting of simplifications. You know the Rasa practices, most of the people says the Rasa practice is very difficult. So the simplification process are to be done, and it is to be done for the benefit of the common people and practice of the common people. Then clinical implementation. So these are the different domain of research on manuscriptology available on the Rasa Shastra. Similarly for the Nigantu also, first we have to find out the Nigantus, explore the Nigantus of the Samhita Grantha, we have to find out the Nigantu of the Samhita Grantha, then we have to do the deciphering and publish, then research in the incorporation of drug in Ayurveda over the times. You know there are incorporation of new drug is happening right from the Sushruta times to today. Many drugs are being incorporated in our compendium, and after that drugs are considered as our native drugs. So new drugs, new incorporation of drug of Ayurveda over the times that are to be documented and that is to be published. Then the basis of pharmacological classifications that is to be done, and pharmacological classification in the different text, in the different Nigantu, classifications are based on the different techniques. Like in Charak Samhita, it is based on the karma, and if we go to the Siddha Mantra, you will see it is on the basis of dosa karma, like Vata Sangsaman Varga, Pitta Sangsaman Varga, Kapha Sangsaman Varga. So there are different pharmacological process of classification are mentioned in the text. So it is our duty to find out all the pharmacological classification mentioned in the different manuscripts and make them public, so that we can develop our pharmacological domain in a better way. Then new varieties of varieties of drugs, then use of the drugs in new indications of already existing drugs, that is also another domain of research. Then research on parts of use over the times. Initially there was only one parts used for one plant. After that, like in Kokilaksha, initially the Panchanga was used, later period the Mula was also mentioned. But beginning there is no mentioning of the Mula of Kokilaksha. So parts of use over the time also it is to be mentioned. Then new dosage and formula, new pharmaceutical preparation like new Bhesaja Kalpana, like new Kalpana like avalayas, penicillin capsule. These all new dosage formula are also to be explored and mentioned. And for the research domain of the allied text, there are three most important domains. One is chronological development of new thoughts. Over the times, there are development of new thoughts, and that thoughts were documented in the manuscript. And it is duty of the researcher to explore the chronological development of new thoughts. Then incorporation of the new thought, how that new thought were incorporated in Ayurveda, and how Ayurveda people use that thoughts, and it is accommodated wisely, and then how that is implemented. That is to be mentioned and that is to be explored how that is used in healthcare. Then clinical justifications of that allied text in the clinical trial. And for the super specialty text, detailed research domains are then advancement research conducted on that period, that already I have discussed, and usages in that particular periods. Then we require to do the clinical trial on that, then justification. Okay, now we have done certain work and we are giving the data. Like Mushti Yoga Chikitsa. This is we have collected 16 manuscripts from different time period between 19th century to 20th century. So we have collected 16 manuscripts and 2 published books, and initially compiled 8,000 yoga and formula. Then among them we identified 1500 effective formula from 16 diseases. Then in somewhere else and in 3 centers conducted the clinical trial on 600 formula only. 600 only formula in OPD patients. Then this clinical trial was done from 2009 to 2000. Then and given on 13,960 patient and 20 patient for each formula. Then it was published in the form of book Mushti Yoga Chikitsa. So actually that is collected from 16 manuscripts. Then we have done that research. Then it is published. And another research on Anupan, how the Anupan should be done. That collected 4 manuscripts from different times. The manuscripts were from 16th, 18th to 19th to 20th century, and compiled the data on 116 diseases conditions where Makaruddhaj were used. We find 160 disease conditions where Makaruddhaj were given as a medicine. Among them, we have given 52 disease conditions. Okay, and given in near about 1200 patients. So then we have published in an article. Over 52 conditions we have given. So that kind of research is needed. We have taken the source from the manuscripts. Then we have conducted the clinical trial. So it is not like that manuscript research is a non-clinical research. Whatever research, whatever data is written in the manuscript, everything is related to health and everything is related to clinical practice only. Though it is doing by the common people like more done people or other people. That is why it is tagged as a non-clinical, but everything is documented in the clinical perspective. So this is the Anupana. You see the Agnihotra. This is the detailing. The Anupana, like in Dhajavanga, what is the Anupana? The Amlapitta, the Apasmara, Arochaka, this is the Anupana of the Makaradhaja, which were mentioned in the different manuscripts. Okay, this is the glimpse only. That is also a different thing. That is a different parampara. There are different. That is a historical document. It is documented the different classical parampara prevail in Bengal. We have collected this parampara for different other purpose, for historical purpose. But for manuscripts, also we can consider it as a basic document for manuscript explorations. In Bengal, there are different paramparas. Paramparas means there are different tradition of clinical practice. Not the tradition like Atriya tradition, like Shalla tradition, Salaka tradition. This is different tradition on the different practices. So what I want to say, if we go to the manuscript practice also, follow the manuscript, we will be able to explore the missing link. In the previous slide I told that there are missing link, but if we study the manuscript, we will find the missing link, and we will able to understand how the scientific principle was implemented in the ground reality and how it is existed till date. See, one parampara is Shastriya parampara. In Shastriya parampara, they used to practice different. They used to practice on the basis of Charaka and Sushruta only, and there different manuscripts are available. Next, another parampara is Chakradatta parampara. So in Chakradatta parampara also there are huge texts. So we explore this parampara, we are able to find out the parampara, existing parampara of clinical practice. What kind of clinical practice people are doing now? What kind of clinical practice we are doing? One is Mishra parampara. Diagnosis is done by the modern science, and we are practicing Ayurveda medicines. Some people used to diagnose according to Ayurveda and do the Suddha Ayurveda Chikitsa, and some people used to give the only molecules based Ayurveda treatment. So there are molecular Ayurveda practice, there are mixed Ayurveda practice, there are pure Ayurveda practice nowadays. But in previously there are different traditions, and these traditions are the root, and if we find out the manuscript, we will get these all traditional references. So now I am not going to the details, there are different manuscripts. So this is all about the background of manuscriptology and why manuscriptology study is needed, what are the domain of manuscriptology, and then in the next session we will go for the practical demonstration. So if you have any question, you may ask. Thank you.